The roar of 50,000 alien voices crashed like thunder across the Crimson Coliseum. Every seat, every floating platform, every hovering observation deck was packed with beings from across the galaxy. They had come to witness what the bookmakers call the most one-sided slaughter in arena history. Ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished entities, the announcer's voice boomed through the crystal speakers. Welcome to the 307th Galactic Combat Championship. In the luxury boxes, the Zephyrian nobility clicked their mandibles in anticipation. The insectoid race had dominated the fighting pits for decades, their exoskeletons nearly impenetrable, their reflexes lightning fast. Down in the lower tiers, hulking Gorvok warriors beat their chests, their tusks gleaming as they wagered on how quickly their champion would end this farce. The arena floor stretched 200 meters across, its surface a checkerboard of different terrains. Molten lava pools bubbled alongside frozen tundra sections. Gravity wells twisted space in random spots, while energy barriers flickered on and off in predetermined patterns. This was where legends were born and pretenders died. First to enter, the announcer's excitement was infectious. Standing 4 meters tall and weighing at 800 kilograms, the Crusher of Worlds, the Bone Breaker of Andromeda, Thrak the Destroyer. The crowd erupted as massive blast doors slid open. What emerged defied description. Thrak's body was a nightmare fusion of chitinous armor and rippling muscle. 6 arms ended in claws that could slice through starship hull plating. His head was a wedge of bone and fury, with eyes like burning coals. Scars crisscrossed his torso, each one telling the story of a vanquished opponent. 147 victories. The announcer continued. 0 defeats. 0 mercy shown. Thrak raised all 6 arms, and the crowd's noise doubled. He had never lost, never even been wounded badly enough to slow down. His fighting style was simple: grab, crush, repeat. In his last match, he had literally torn his opponent in half. The cleaning crews were still finding pieces. And now, the announcer paused for dramatic effect. The stadium fell silent except for the hum of energy shields and the distant rumble of starship engines. The Challenger, from the backwater planet known as Earth, standing well, considerably shorter, weighing in at significantly less Maya Chen. The silence stretched and stretched. Nothing happened. The announcer cleared his throat. Maya Chen, still nothing. Thrak snorted, a sound like steam escaping from a broken fusion reactor. He began pacing the arena center, his claws leaving gouges in the reinforced floor. The crowd started to murmur. Where was the human? In the betting booths, odds were shifting by the second. The smart money had already written off the human before the match began. Now they were placing bets on whether she would even show up. Some speculated she had fled the station. Others suggested she might have taken her own life rather than face the inevitable. "This is embarrassing," muttered Lord Vextar, a prominent Zephyrian noble whose family had sponsored the arena for generations. "We flew across 3 star systems to watch a human get pulverized, and she doesn't even have the courtesy to appear." His companion, a wealthy Gorvok merchant named Grendek, laughed so hard his tusks rattled. "Maybe she's smart after all, though running away is very human." The crowd's murmur was growing into a rumble of discontent. They had paid premium prices for seats, traveled from distant worlds, cleared their schedules, all to watch what everyone assumed would be a spectacular execution. Instead, they were getting nothing. Thrak stopped pacing, his burning eyes fixed on the announcer's booth. The massive warrior's patience was legendary in its absence. He had killed opponents for less than making him wait. "Perhaps we should." The announcer began. That's when the small door opened. Not the massive blast doors that had admitted Thrak. Not the ceremonial gates used by champions. A simple maintenance entrance, barely 2 meters high, tucked away in a corner of the arena that most spectators couldn't even see. From it stepped a figure so small, so seemingly insignificant, that half the crowd didn't even notice at first. Maya Chen looked exactly like what she was, a 22-year-old human female, standing roughly 1 meter and 65 centimeters tall, weighing maybe 60 kilograms soaking wet. She wore the standard arena combat suit, form-fitting black material designed to protect against energy weapons while allowing maximum mobility. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her face was calm, almost serene. She carried no weapons, wore no armor beyond a basic suit. The crowd's noise died to a whisper as word spread that the human had finally arrived. Beings throughout the stadium craned their necks, activated zoom functions on their visual organs, leaned forward in their seats. Surely there was more to her than met the eye. Some hidden enhancement, some concealed weapon, some trick that would explain her presence in this place of death. There wasn't. Maya walked to the center of the arena with unhurried steps. She didn't swagger like most fighters, didn't posture or pose for the cameras, didn't even acknowledge the crowd's existence. She simply walked, as if she were crossing a park on a sunny day instead of entering a place where the odds of her survival were calculated in the single digits. Thrak turned to face her, and the size difference was comical. The alien warrior could have used the human as a toothpick. His head alone was larger than her entire torso. When he spread his 6 arms wide in an intimidation display, his wingspan was 3 times her height. "Well," said Lord Vextar, his mandibles clicking in amusement. "At least she showed up. That's more courage than most humans possess." "Courage?" Grendek snorted. "That's not courage. That's stupidity. Or insanity. Possibly both." Maya stopped exactly in the center of the arena, 10 meters from Thrak. She looked up at him, her expression unchanged. No fear, no defiance, no emotion at all. Just looking. The silence was deafening. "Combatants!" The announcer's voice cracked slightly. "Prepare for battle. This match will continue until one participant is unable to continue. That was arena speak for until one of them is dead." Everyone knew it. Maya certainly knew it. Yet she simply stood there, hands at her sides, looking up at the monster that was about to tear her apart. Thrak let out a roar that shook dust from the arena ceiling. It was a sound designed to paralyze prey, to freeze victims in terror long enough for him to close the distance and end the fight before it truly began. The acoustic analysis equipment registered the sound at 170 decibels, loud enough to rupture eardrums, to cause cardiac arrest in smaller species. Maya blinked once. That was her only reaction. The crowd was on its feet now, pressing against barriers, shouting advice and insults and predictions. The betting boards were going insane as last-second wagers poured in. A few contrarians were actually betting on the human, though whether from genuine belief or simple perversity, nobody could say. But Maya wasn't done moving. As she slid past, her right hand shot out with surgical precision, not toward any of Thrak's obvious weak points, not toward his joints or his face or any of the target areas taught in combat schools across the galaxy. Instead, her fingers found a spot just behind his left ankle, a tiny gap in his chitinous armor that probably measured less than 2 centimeters across. She didn't punch. She didn't slash. She simply pressed, her fingertips finding a nerve cluster that most species didn't even know existed. Thrak's roar cut off mid-sound. The massive alien warrior, the undefeated champion of 147 death matches, the crusher worlds, the bone breaker of Andromeda, collapsed like a demolished building. The silence that followed was absolute. 50,000 beings stared at the arena floor, their brains refusing to process what they had just witnessed. Thrak, all 800 kilograms of him, lay motionless on the ground. His burning eyes were closed. His 6 arms were splayed out around him like the petals of some grotesque flower. His massive chest wasn't moving. Maya stood over him, completely unruffled. She checked her fingernails for damage, found none, and brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Is he?" The announcer's voice cracked completely. "Is he dead?" Maya looked up at the announcer's booth with mild surprise, as if she had forgotten anyone else was watching. "Oh, no," she said cheerfully. "He's just sleeping. He'll wake up in about 6 hours with a headache and no memory of the last 10 minutes. It's a temporary neural disruption, completely harmless." The crowd erupted, not in cheers or boos, but in a cacophony of confusion, disbelief, and absolute chaos. Beings were shouting in dozens of languages, demanding explanations, replays, investigations. The betting boards crashed as their systems tried to process an outcome that had never been programmed as a possibility. In the luxury boxes, Lord Vextar's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. That's impossible. No one could disable a Gorvok warrior with a simple touch. Their nervous systems are specifically designed to resist that kind of attack. Grendek was staring at Maya with something approaching awe, unless you know exactly where to press, and exactly how much pressure to apply, and exactly the right angle to... He trailed off, his tusks chattering with sudden understanding. Down in the arena, security forces were mobilizing. Medical teams rushed toward Thrak's motionless form, scanners and revival equipment in hand. The arena's automated systems were running full diagnostics, checking for signs of concealed weapons, illegal enhancements, or technological interference. They found nothing. Maya waited patiently while the medics confirmed that Thrak was indeed unconscious, but otherwise unharmed. She answered their questions politely, submitted to their scans without complaint, and generally behaved like someone discussing the weather rather than someone who had just accomplished the impossible. "How did you know?" asked Dr. Krill, the arena's chief medical officer. His reptilian features were twisted with scientific curiosity. That nerve cluster is vestigial in most species. In Gorvaks, it's buried so deep that even they don't know it exists. Maya shrugged. "I studied." "Studied what?" Dr. Krill pressed. "There are no textbooks that describe this technique. No known martial arts that teach it. I've been treating alien physiology for 40 years, and I've never seen anything like it." "I studied him," Maya said simply, nodding toward the unconscious Thrak. "I've been watching recordings of his fights for 6 months. Every single match, frame by frame. He's incredibly strong, incredibly fast, incredibly vicious. But he's also predictable. He uses the same fighting stance every time, puts pressure on the same points, moves the same way. After a while, I noticed he favored his left side just slightly, not enough to matter in most situations, but enough to create a tiny gap in his armor when he overextended." The crowd was still in chaos above them, but Dr. Krill and the other officials were hanging on her every word. "So you planned this entire fight around one tiny weakness?" another official asked. "Not exactly," Maya said. "I planned around human patience. Thrak is used to opponents who try to match his strength. When they can't, they panic. Panic makes them sloppy. I just waited for him to get frustrated enough to overcommit." For 23 minutes, Dr. Krill said, checking his chronometer, "You dodged a Gorvok warrior for 23 minutes, then defeated him with a single touch." Maya nodded. "That's about right." "But why?" The question came from Lord Vextar, who had descended from his luxury box to the arena floor. His chitinous form towered over Maya, but she seemed completely unimpressed. Why enter the arena at all? What could possibly motivate a human to face certain death? Maya's expression changed for the first time since entering the arena. The serene calm vanished, replaced by something harder, colder. When she spoke, her voice carried an edge that made several nearby beings step backward instinctively. 3 years ago, your arena hosted a special exhibition. 20 human prisoners of war, captured during the Kepler-7 incident. They were thrown into this ring as entertainment for your crowds. No weapons, no armor, no chance, just sport. The silence was deafening. One of those prisoners was my brother, Maya continued, her voice perfectly controlled despite the fury behind it. David Chun. He was 18 years old, a communications officer on a medical transport. He had never hurt anyone in his life. Lord Vextar's mandibles clicked nervously. The Kepler-7 exhibition had been controversial even by arena standards. The human prisoners had been legally acquired during a territorial dispute. Their use in gladiatorial combat had been technically permissible under galactic law. Your champion at the time was a creature called Vexran the Merciless, Maya went on. He killed my brother slowly. May it last 15 minutes for the entertainment value. The crowd loved it. Several beings in earshot suddenly found reasons to be elsewhere. So I spent 3 years preparing, Maya said. 3 years studying alien physiology, learning weak points, developing techniques. I entered every combat tournament I could find, fought every species I could locate, all to get here, to this arena, to face your champions. And now, Lord Vextar asked quietly. Maya looked around the arena at the unconscious Thrak, at the crowd still arguing and shouting above them. Her smile returned, but it was different now. Predatory. Now I'm the champion, she said, which means I get to choose my next opponent. And according to arena rules, former champions can be called back to face new challengers. Lord Vextar's chitin went pale. Vexran retired 5 years ago. I know, Maya said, but retirement is voluntary, isn't it? Champions can always return for the right motivation. The implications hit everyone present simultaneously. Maya hadn't come here to win a championship. She had come for revenge. The entire elaborate performance, the seemingly impossible victory, the careful demonstration of her abilities, it was all designed to send a message to one specific being. Vexran the Merciless had killed her brother. Now she was coming for him. This is madness, Lord Vextar protested. You can't seriously intend to challenge every warrior who has ever killed a human in this arena. Maya considered this for a moment. You know what? You're right. That would take too long. She walked to the center of the arena and looked up at the crowd. Gradually, the chaos subsided as beings realized a human wanted to speak. Citizens of the galaxy, Maya called out, her voice carrying clearly through the arena's acoustics. I am Maya Chen of Earth. Today I defeated your unbeatable champion without throwing a single punch. I did this to demonstrate something very important. The silence was complete now. Humans are patient, Maya continued. We study, we learn, we remember, and when someone hurts us, when someone kills our family, our friends, our innocent, we don't forget, we don't forgive, we wait, and then we act. She gestured to Thrak's unconscious form. This warrior has killed dozens of beings in this arena. He thought he was unstoppable. Today, he learned differently. And every other champion, every other warrior who has spilled innocent blood for your entertainment should take note. Maya turned in a slow circle, making eye contact with beings throughout the crowd. I know you think humans are weak, slow, fragile. You're not wrong. We are all those things. But we're also something else. We're stubborn. And when you make us angry, really angry, we become very, very creative about expressing our displeasure. The crowd was dead silent. So here's my message to every warrior, every champion, every killer who has used this arena to murder humans for sport. I'm coming for you. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. And when I find you, you'll discover what my brother learned in his final moments. Maya's voice dropped to barely above a whisper, but somehow everyone heard it. Humans don't go gentle into that good night. She walked toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the absolute silence. At the entrance, she paused and looked back. Oh, and one more thing, she called out cheerfully, her voice returning to its earlier conversational tone. I'll be back next week to defend my title. I do hope someone interesting shows up. This was fun, but I was hoping for more of a challenge. Maya Chen, the new galactic combat champion, disappeared to the maintenance door, leaving behind 50,000 speechless beings and one unconscious former champion, who would wake up to discover that the galaxy had just become a much more dangerous place for anyone who had ever hurt a human. In the luxury boxes, Lord Vextar was frantically making calls, try to locate Vexran the Merciless, and warn him that death itself was looking for him. And somewhere in the crowd, a small group of human tourists who had come expecting to witness a tragedy were wiping tears from their eyes and planning the biggest celebration in Earth's history. The age of human revenge had begun, and it was going to be spectacular.